And I'm continuing this discussion of renunciation, which we've been talking about through the month of March. We often think of renunciation as letting go of things that are external to us, letting go of the stuff we have accumulated, as Catherine spoke about, setting down our gadgets, those phones and computers, or even abandoning activities that we like so much and hold on to so tightly that they become painful, like Bill described with his love of sports. Those are all really great places to practice letting go. And there's also the possibility of renunciation of things internally. And this is what I want to speak to today. I want to take just some moments to look inside and consider what we might be holding on to in our internal world, in our minds. So I wonder, have you ever noticed how you have a thought, and maybe it's even a pleasant thought, and the same thought recurs over and over again? It arises and then it passes, and then it arises again, and maybe again, as if it's a habit of the mind. It's hard to let go and set it down. Our minds are sticky and they want to hold on. Though at some point, even that pleasant thought doesn't always feel that good. Recent research shows that we have 6,000 to 7,000 thoughts a day, and up to 90% of them are repetitive. It's kind of amazing. So to date myself, what I picture in my mind is like a record album that gets caught in a groove and just repeats itself over and over. And that groove gets deeper, right? And we get stuck there. So our intention in this practice over time is to become a bit more familiar with these thoughts and maybe ask ourselves, are they wholesome and skillful? Are they inclining us to more calm or care or non-harming? And if they are, our practice is to keep them around more. That's good. But the converse of that is, are these thoughts and habits unwholesome and unskillful? Are they clouding our minds? Are they encouraging us to hold on to ideas or ways of being that might cause harm to us and to others? So I've been wondering a lot about if there's a way we can practice renunciation in this context. Can we set down these unskillful patterns of mind and find more ease? So think for a moment about what habits of mind, what might be most familiar to you. It might involve the way you speak to yourself, both the tone you use as well as the words. It could be the way you ruminate over how you've spoken to someone else. It might be anxious thoughts, worrying thoughts, a proliferation of angry thoughts, restless thoughts, catastrophic thoughts. There is no shortage of ways that the mind can proliferate. It's the nature of this untrained mind. And in Pali, it's called papancha. It's the proliferation of mind. And I want to be clear that I'm not speaking to any kind of mental illness that needs to be supported in a different way, in really important ways. But these habits of mind that I'm referring to are really present in all of our minds. And this is a big topic. I can't take it all on this morning, obviously. So here are just a few examples, and they're ones that I personally am really familiar with and that I try to work with. So listen to them, reflect for yourself where they might be true for you, or inquire what patterns of mind you have. So the first one I want to speak to is planning mind. I'm a planner. I make to-do lists, shopping lists. I have weekly calendars. I have birthday calendars. So I have a degree in planning. I mean, seriously, I was a professional environmental planner, which was a great thing, but it could get a little out of control. So for any of you who share this, you can see that planning is a way of thinking, and it's really helpful in a lot of ways. Planning is really a necessity at some level to live in this world. And it's a habit of mind. Here's just one example. You need to call someone. It's on your list. And you think what it is you need to say before you make the call, because you want to be clear. And then before you know it, your mind starts right again from the beginning. This is what I want to say. You begin rehearsing the call over and over again in your mind. And it becomes exhausting. Having the thought to call someone and reflecting on what your intentions are and how you want to get your message across is helpful and important. It's in the repetition over and over where we get attached. And that's where it causes suffering. It's a really fine line, and it really asks us to be very aware and present. When does this planning mind move from helpful to hurtful? And what is it we're attaching to? It might be different for each of us. We have to look for ourselves. But for me, I think the repetition has to do with the discomfort and uncertainty of not knowing how the other person will respond and not trusting that I'll say the correct thing. And so my mind replays the conversation, trying to concretize it, trying to make the outcome more certain, which of course I can't do. So if I am in a moment of mindfulness and I have a outcome of being skillful, the internal response is to gently let go of the rehearsing and maybe just rest in my intention and feel the vulnerability of not knowing how things are going to turn out. Michelle McDonald, who's a meditation teacher, tells the story of doing a walking meditation, maybe for 30 minutes, and she's on retreat. And her mind was thinking about something difficult she needed to say to a family member. She noticed it and she let go, returning to her meditation. And before she knew it, her mind was there again. And she let go again and again. And because she was in a meditative place, and because she is who she is, she laughed in her wonderful way and said that her mind must have returned to this thought 1,000 times during this one walking period. And each time she beautifully let go, gently and kindly. That is just where the practice is. Just sticking with it, not judging it, not getting frustrated, but just knowing the mind. And lo and behold, eventually, there was a point where her mind gave up, where it changed behavior. She said the thoughts didn't arise one right after another. And maybe she had 5 to 10 seconds of freedom from it. I love that example. We can make change, but it's slow and it takes patience and kindness. And then there are moments, I mean, really moments arise of seeing the ease and the openness of letting go. So here's another habit of mind that may be familiar to some of you. And that's the habit of hurrying, of being busy, trying to fit too much into our day. Christina Feldman, who's another meditation teacher, she takes on an intention each year that she practices with, just one, and it's simple. And a few years ago, her intention was to not hurry. So think about a life where you were not late, where you didn't rush, and how much more ease it would bring. Just the other day, I noticed it in my own life. I was in a yoga class and I had a meeting right after it. It was my annual tax meeting, so it was important to be at. And I thought I'd leave the class a bit early in order to get to the meeting. But I was enjoying the class so much that I kept thinking about leaving, but I didn't want to go. I wanted it all. So I stayed for the whole class, and then I had to rush to the meeting. The whole drive, I was turning in my mind a scenario of when I arrived, how much of the meeting I might have missed, what I might say to defend myself. I could feel the discomfort that my mind was creating in my body. And if I had had Christina Feldman's intention of not hurrying, I would have made a different choice. I wouldn't have let myself get in that place. Our minds are subtle and they're slippery and they're fast. And sometimes it's really hard to see these tendencies. That's why we stay so anchored to our bodies in our practice, because we learn that what the mind thinks, the body feels. That's how we know we're suffering. We can feel the efforting of the mind as a tightness in the body, right? And when our minds get cloudy and wafty, maybe in a daydream, the body feels ungrounded and might feel a bit lethargic. So when it comes to my habits of mind, I try to look to how much planning is useful, or if hurrying is really necessary. And then I try to notice those moments when my mind starts to spin, where my body begins to tighten, and I try to let go. And I think because I've had this talk, obviously, in my mind, just this morning, I was at the sink and getting ready for the day, and I was planning my day. And all of a sudden, I noticed that my body was tightening around what I needed to do today. And I remembered to let go. It was such a simple moment. And I might end up letting go hundreds and hundreds of times. But I've come to a place where I trust that at some point, the thoughts will lose some of their energy. And I remind myself that this is a process. It's a path that moves us in the direction of more ease. So, whatever pattern of mind is most familiar to you, it might not be planning or hurrying, but it could be a restless mind, an anxious mind, a mind that gets lost in fantasy. And that could be fantasy of beautiful daydreams, but it also could be a mind that catastrophizes your situation. Either way, if you can, begin to notice it and try to work with it. And keep it really simple so that it doesn't feel overwhelming. Like Christina Feldman's intentions, which are simple. Maybe just pick one, pay attention to one habit. And if you can, be a little curious. There was an article just this week in Lion's Roar that suggested when you were working with these repetitive thoughts, you could ask yourself lightly, is this satisfying? So that's one way of working with it. Or you might explore how the habit of mind is clouding your mind, how it keeps you from seeing clearly. And maybe it's protecting you in some way from feeling into the uncontrollability, the uncontrollability, right, of this ever-changing life. I know that's true for me. Or maybe the thoughts are trying to solidify a sense of self. I might think to myself, I'm a planner. I'm efficient and I'm busy, so I have to hurry. And yet, is that really who I am? Is there really any solidity to that? Whatever it is you discover for yourself, it can be practiced with. We can hold ourselves kindly. We can be really patient and set down a thought. It's just a thought. It's not necessarily a truth. These thoughts are not who we are. We let go of habits of mind so we can find more peace. Gil Fronsdale has a really beautiful framing of letting go. And he talks about how there are two ways of doing it. We can let go of something, or we can let go into something. And I really like that we're letting go into more peace and ease and less suffering. So thank you for your attention. And now we get to move right into our practice. And deep breath and changing our focus to our bodies, offering them whatever it is they might need in this moment to find comfort and ease, maybe a sense of openness, spaciousness. Not forgetting those little hidden away places of tension that we don't always pay attention to. And when that feels complete, coming into a relatively still posture. Finding yourself anchored in this spot. Noticing yourself in space. And letting yourself really settle in. With each out breath, noticing the letting down, the letting go. Finding your place right here. And letting your body, as it settles, be an invitation to your mind to also settle. Letting your attention find an anchor in this present moment, whether it is breath or sound or body sensation. And feeling a sense of restfulness. Notice if there's a quality of efforting in your attention. And if there is, see if you can let go of it and just receive your experience, not controlling it. And whatever arises is okay. It's worthy of your attention. And whatever passes is okay. No need to hold on. When thoughts arise, can you let them just move through like clouds in a sky and return to your body or breath? Or do you find that they're sticky, that they keep repeating themselves? And if you do, bring kindness and care each time you return to your breath. Each time you let go, it's a piece of renunciation, and it's beginning to change those deeply rooted habits of mind. Feeling into the ease of letting go.